Well, that's been an entertaining 7 months. I've been linked with some of the top jobs in England, Germany, Spain. I've been for 3, 4, 5 interviews. I lose count. One of them was even in Argentina, a club I've never heard of. That mainly I just went along to the interview for the all expenses paid holiday. Never really seriously considered going there, especially when they offered me £2,000 a week. But we've now made it all the way through to the summer of 2029, and on the 4th of July, I got a new job. Hello and welcome to Season 15, Episode 1 of Non-League to Legend, and as you've just seen from the intro, I am the new manager of Manchester City. I actually had an interview at Bayern Munich as well, but remember when I had the interview at Liverpool, I got a bit silly trying to ask for too much money, and they withdrew, and that was about 2 weeks before the Man City job. So for a minute there, I thought I was heading to Germany, but they actually withdrew the offer. So when Man City finally came in, I decided not to play any silly games with the contract. I think they initially offered me about £28,000 a week. I managed to work them up to £39,500, so it's still not as much as I was earning at Ipswich. I was on £56,000 a week, but obviously that was a 3-year deal, so I've just had a £9 million payoff. So I can afford to lose the £15,000 a week for the chance to go and manage a club like Manchester City. And what a club this is to go and manage. If we look at their history, obviously we're 15 years into this save now, and their history looks pretty exciting. If we look at the competitions they've won, they're now 3-time Champions League winners. They last won it 5 years ago when they won the second of back-to-back Champions Leagues. They've won the Premier League 7 times, most recently only 2 years ago. And they finished runners-up for the 2 years before that as well. And they've basically been a top 4 team for the last 20 years now. They've won the FIFA World Club Cup 3 times. Every time they win the Champions League, they go on and win the World Club Cup as well. They won the Europa League last season after getting knocked out of the Champions League. Actually, I don't think they made it into the Champions League, did they? Because we messed all that up for them over at Ipswich. They have also won the FA Cup 9 times. It's fair to say this has been quite a successful football club. Still absolutely loaded. There's only £20 million in the bank, but that's because I've already spent £100 million on transfers. We're kind of broken financial fair play. That's kind of my fault. You know what I'm like. I've come straight in and done what I do. Squad-wise, we're looking... I mean, it's just ridiculously strong. One of the first things I did was... I scouted the whole Ipswich squad just to see how those players compared on the little star ratings to the first choice players at Man City, and the only player who would get into the Man City first team is Vladislav Lazarov, who comes in at 4 stars. The likes of Fall, Arendt, Vaughan, Zabala, Matt Lee, they're coming in at 2.5 stars compared to these Man City players, according to our scouts. I think we've just stepped up a level. And we're actually playing with some proper players now. There are still a couple of names that you'll know from the real world knocking around the club. Raheem Sterling is still at the club, 34 years old. He's now played 169 times for England, scoring 49 goals. He's earning £375,000 a week, but his career is very much winding down now. I mean, he's had a good 15 years at Man City, where he's just been an incredible player. But last year, played less than half the games. His rating dropped down to the lowest it's ever really been, well, certainly for 10 years or so. So he's kind of on his way out. Another name you might remember, we've credited him before with being the man who kick-started my career in this save, Lewis Bradford. Do we remember who Lewis Bradford is? This is a test to see how long you've been watching. Lewis Bradford was the player who came through the Exeter youth team about 6 months before I was appointed Exeter manager. They sold him, had a load of money in the bank, and then after I'd been at Exeter a few weeks, they bought out his sell-on clause as well. For another £1.5 million. So I had about £3 million to spend and went out and bought loads of players, got Exeter promoted, which ultimately led to me getting the Ipswich job and winding up here. He's had quite a career though. Was it Newcastle where Exeter sold him to? He played sort of 4 seasons there. Went on to Liverpool for £33 million. Was only there for a year and a half before Man City paid £51 million for him. He's now been at City for 3.5 years. He's a first team regular now. He's 28 years old. Played 23 times for England. I finally get to pick a team with Lewis Bradford in it, despite him being so influential in my career turning out how it has. Other than that, there's not really any names we're going to recognise, I assume. Oh, and Mbolo's at the club. He's 32 now, been around a while. So I guess I think he's the only non-regen in there, unless I'm missing somebody. We've done a little bit of transfer business. We'll run through that very quickly. We've sold a couple of players. Ipswich actually bought one of our youngsters before I took over. I'd like to point out, the new manager gets some money, does he? We'll get on to the new manager in a minute, actually, at Ipswich, because he's a moron. And then we've sold this guy, Jan Kriz, to Sheffield Wednesday for 11.5 million. He was like our fifth choice striker. Players we've brought in, a lot of these happened before I arrived. This guy, I don't even know who he is. He must have been before I arrived as well. I thought I was appointed. That must have been arranged before I came in, because the first one I was involved in was Jorge Egea, who's come in from the Villarreal B team. He's an 18-year-old Spaniard who has lots of potential. Already a decent championship player, but will become a good player as time goes on. Being brought in because he's a youngster. But then I spent most of my transfer budget on two players I've wanted to sign for Ipswich for about the last 4 years. Ron Osborne, every summer I try and sign this guy from Everton. He's 28 years old now. He's played 69 times for England. He is a world-class centre-back, the best centre-back, certainly the best English centre-back around. He's been at Everton for years, and I've been trying to sign him since about this point. Finally got the money to just throw around and the reputation to bring him in. He can play at right back or centre back. He's going to be our first choice starting centre back, so he's going to come straight in and straight into the side today. And the other lad is Nathan Wilkes, another 28-year-old, English, 60 caps for England. He's a central midfield player, comes in from Liverpool, started out at Plymouth. And again, he's just a good midfield player. So he's actually picked up an injury, so we're not going to see him play today. But he will be featuring very soon. If we have a quick look at the rest of the squad before I show you the tactic and then have a little moan about Ipswich. These are our players. We'll get to know them as time goes on. I'm not really one to delve deep into the stats, so we're not going to get too stuck into who these players are. But if we just have a quick look at each of them. In fact, we'll do it via looking at our tactic, because the tactic's interesting. Very different from anything we've used before on this save. Now, this I haven't gone insane. This is the tactic that the Man City backroom staff suggested I play based on the players that we've got at the club. I had a little play, had a look at it, and actually kind of agree with them. We've got quite a lot of attacking players on this side of the pitch, not so much on this side. We've got just the one or two central midfielders, but we've got a good holding midfielder, we've got a good attacking midfielder. We're a little light for strikers. It just seems to make sense, so we're going with it. If it doesn't work, I'll probably get sacked, because Man City have a habit of sacking managers after a couple of months if it's not working out. See Pep Guardiola from about a year ago. So I've realistically only got until about November to get us top of the league, so it's a bit of a gamble, but I didn't have £500 million to spend. I've tried to sign most of my old Ipswich players. Lazaroff I was quoted £185 million for, so I've got to make do with what's at City. I can't just drag the Ipswich lads across. So we've got to use a new system, and it's probably going to be a disaster. But the players that we're going to have making up this team, we've got in goal Gianluca Donnarumma, 30-year-old Italian, played 94 times for Italy. He's been at Man City a couple of years after being at Inter and Bayern Munich previously. Then our right back and captain is Sabri Medane, 30-year-old Frenchman. You'll notice a lot of these players are getting old. It's going to be, over the next 2 or 3 seasons, assuming I don't get fired, a massive rebuilding job, because they're getting to the point where they all need replacing, and they've been around for years. This lad's been at Man City for 10 seasons now. Our left back, is this the guy who was signed before I arrived, but he's new this season. So this is Oltjan Mateza, 26-year-old Albanian. To be honest, he's not all that. And I don't really know why we splurged 20 million quid on him, but we'll replace him at some point. He's rubbish. Ron Osborne, you've already met. He's a player I've brought in to play at centre-back, and he's going to be alongside Enrico Martelli, 28-year-old Italian, 35 caps for Italy, and again, been at Man City as a regular starter for about 8 seasons now. Lewis Bradford, who you've already met, is our holding midfield player. And then in central midfield, initially we've got Cherubin Umputu, 22-year-old Frenchman. He's already played 10 times for France. Man City signed him in the January transfer window, around the time I was getting sacked by Ipswich, for £53 million, and then barely played him. He can play anywhere in the attacking part of the pitch, really. He can play up front, he can play central midfield, he can play wide on either wing. Today we're playing him in central midfield because Wilkes is injured, the other player we've brought in, but he's basically going to be able to play in any of these positions. I mean, any of these, really. So for 53 million quid, we need to find a way to work him in somewhere. Our wide playmaker on the left and vice-captain is Vicente van Inzerillen, 26-year-old Italian, 24 caps for the Italian national side. Can play on either wing, either as our left midfielder or as our right winger. We're playing him left midfield today. He'll probably get plenty of time experimenting with them both as the season goes on. Our right winger is Ayrton, 27-year-old Brazilian with 46 caps already. I mean, this guy just looks like a complete monster. He's only been at City for a year. They spent 52 million quid on him. He was at Dortmund and Porto before. And he's just lightning quick and just looks awesome. Our advanced playmaker is another Brazilian, Gilberto, 28-year-old, 51 caps for Brazil already, another top quality player, been at Man City for 3 seasons after signing for 50 million quid. I can't believe the money this club throws around. Was at Benfica previously. And then up front, we know all about this guy because he scored against us plenty of times when we were at Man City. João Roberto, another Brazilian. It's a Brazilian front three. I need to find a way to squeeze Lacio in. 28 years old, 58 caps and 38 goals for Brazil. He's been at Man City for 3 seasons and scored an absolute hatful of goals after joining from Lyon. So yeah, he's all right. And that team, wouldn't you just believe it? Look who we're playing for our first game of the season. It's going to be the only live com on this episode because it's already getting on a little bit. But look who we've got on the first day of the season. You couldn't write this better than it's come out. We're at home to Ipswich. It'll be the first time I've seen Ipswich play since I was sacked, so we'll have a little look at what's going on there. Their manager that they brought in, Sinisa Mijatovic, don't know how you say his name. He came in from AC Milan. He wasn't sacked or anything. They just took him. They just paid £7 million to AC Milan to poach the manager. Bearing in mind they had to pay me £9 million to get rid of me. So the argument that got me sacked was that they wouldn't give me 10 million quid to go and buy a goalkeeper. They spent 16 million quid sacking me and bringing in a replacement who proceeded to play 4-4-2 for the rest of the season without any wide players. In fact, if we look at his plan, I think he's using Johnny Vaughan on wide midfield. And I saw him use Dane at left back at one point after I left. Not that I'm bitter or anything, but I have kept a little eye on him. So I know that's been a long intro. Let's get in and play this match against Ipswich. It's the first game of the Premier League season. Lunchtime kickoff. We're on telly. The media are going to be going nuts about this, aren't they? I mean, you couldn't write this. We've already said. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Right, so this is our team. We've already met all them. The one thing I haven't shown you is our instructions. So these are the team instructions we're using. Trying to be as simple with it as possible. And I'm hoping this is going to lead to a different kind of football to what we were known for at Ipswich, where we pass the ball around nicely, keep hold of the ball, play with a little bit of flair. That's what we're hoping for. So yes, let's have some squad numbers, please. Why have we got so many players needing squad numbers today? Is everyone out injured? We got no substitutes. Right, so we are the favourites. It doesn't feel right saying we when we're playing against Ipswich, and look at what they've done. I mean, why would you play Johnny Vaughan on the left wing? I mean, that's just mental. Other than that, I mean, it's a very familiar team. We know all these players. Vosserbelt's in the side, which is odd. Yusuf doesn't seem to be anywhere. He must be injured. Don't know who this guy is. Henry Faber. They've signed a right winger from Manchester United, no less, making his debut. There you go. So the move to 4-4-2 has begun. Looks like there's a backup goalkeeper there as well. But if I fielded a team that looked like that, we'd get absolutely thumped by a team that looked like that. But you know how Football Manager is. Obviously, we're going to lose to Ipswich today. They're wearing the Barcelona kit. I'm no doubt at some point going to forget which team I'm managing and get it all messed up. But I mean, it's difficult because if we do well, it's just going to be painful. Oh, by the way, backroom staff, Matthew Kilgallen, who was my reserve team manager at Ipswich for 9 years, has come in as my assistant manager at Man City. And everyone else who resigned when I left has come with me as well. Kevin Nolan, a couple of others. Stuart Downing, who was my old head of youth development at Ipswich until Everton poached him. He's been at Man City a couple of years in that job. So there's lots of people in the backroom staff who we know, just not so many players because I can't afford them. Right, let's see. Oh, go on, I just want to go and thump them. I want to play well. I want to show the stupid board at Ipswich just how wrong they were to give me the elbow or the heave-ho or whatever you want to call it. Right, here we go. We don't need the league table today because this is all about beating Ipswich. Straight away, I was already looking at the wrong team and thinking, oh, we're attacking. No, we're not, because I'm Man City now. This is going to take... It's just mean making me play Ipswich in the first game. Right. I don't know who these people are either, but we're going to score a goal. We're 1-0 up. Gilberto has scored. I've given my team instructions not to celebrate because I have too much respect for the Ipswich Town fans who still consider me an icon. And bearing in mind, this is a computer game. I'm feeling a little bit emotional playing against Ipswich. It doesn't feel right. I was there so long, and the new board just wrecked it for us all. Oh, he's clapped his hands a little bit, but he knows not to celebrate. Oh, look, Lazarov's taken a throw in. Why has Chris been taken? He's had his number 4 taken off, and they've messed with my numbers. Vaughan's not got 8 anymore. I mean, it's just, why is Modu Fall number 11? It's insulting that they've messed up my squad numbers. No respect. It's all gone wrong at Ipswich. I hope they do. I hope they don't go and get relegated. But, you know, at the same time, I kind of hope they get relegated just to serve them right. And then I'll go back and lead them back to glory under a new board. Right, go on, let's go and get another goal. I mean, we're not dominating possession the way I'd hoped to with this tactic. It was nice to see Gilberto, or Gilberto, we need to decide how to say his name. He's just Gilbert. We're going to be renaming some players, I think. We're in again there, Ayrton. That's a good save from Matt Lee. How many times have I said that over the last few seasons? And we're in again, Bradford to Gilberto, and Umputu. Oh, look at that. And, we are playing some nice football. Bearing in mind this is an unfamiliar tactic. This isn't what Man City have been playing. This is just what my brain trust suggested was most suited to the players that we've got. And we're in again. We're 2-0 up. Van Inzerlin. Inzerlin? Who knows? So, look at that. Nice raking ball out wide from Lewis Bradford. Cross comes in. Matt Lee should have done better, really. And our little wide playmaker pops it home to put us 2-0 up. I've got so many mixed feelings going on at the moment. I don't want to absolutely hammer Ipswich because I like the fans and everything, but at the same time I want to absolutely hammer Ipswich just to put 2 fingers up to their board. I'm taking this far too seriously. In the interest of realism, I haven't taken out a mortgage on my new house in Manchester because I had 9 million quid in the bank and I've got a new job now. So I bought a £5 million mansion on the outskirts of Manchester. I'll try and find a picture of it. I might tweet it because I still don't really know how to put anything other than Football Manager into the video on here. You know, it's only been 15 seasons. I could do it on my Mac, but I can't figure it out on this. Right. So, we're 2-0 up at half-time. Things are going quite well. I don't really know what our defensive version of this is. I guess we can just pull the wide players back. Pull the one wide player back and maybe go to a more conventional 4-1-3-1-2, maybe. Not that we necessarily need to do that. We are absolutely dominating this game now. We've had more possession. We've had 4 clear-cut chances, 3 times as many shots as they've had. Bearing in mind it's our first time in a new system against a team we know are full of good players. We're familiar with them all. This will do, won't it? My one concern so far, João Roberto. Bearing in mind advanced forward is supposed to be his best position. That's why we've got him playing that. He's having a rubbish game. We'll take him off, bring Wagner on, who has also been around at City for a little while. He's 30 years old now. He's Austrian, been there a long time, scored a lot of goals for a long time. So he can have a go, see if this system suits him. And we're also going to take off Lewis Bradford I don't really... I mean, is this guy a midfield player? Yeah. Suarez? He can come on and just play there. Sorted. Right. I think this... I hope this game is in the bag now. Oh, cool. Nothing happened and I need to make another substitution. I was preparing my closing monologue too soon. Right, Gilberto needs to come off. Can Mariano play as advanced playmaker? Yes, he can. Oh, he's only 20. He looks all right, doesn't he? Look at him. So we have got some youngsters knocking around. Let's get him on. I like a youngster. All right. Last 5 or 6 minutes. And at least we've not humiliated Ipswich. We've just made the point that, you know, they were in the wrong. And if they hadn't sacked me, they'd still be in the Champions League. And now they're not. They finished about 8th. There we go. Oh, okay. Matt Kilgallen. He's not the motivate. I mean, let's face it. He's not exactly on the same level as some of these players. But they'll get used to us. We've won. And we've now got to go and play Arsenal in the UEFA Super Cup. But we're not going to look at that today. We'll probably be back around about the time of the first Champions League game of the season. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you pop a like on there. Subscribe to the channel. So you don't miss out on the Man City adventure that starts now. I have no idea how long it's going to last for. Could be over by Christmas. We could win the Champions League. Who knows? And I think it probably has to be one of those two extremes as well. Don't think there's any middle ground. Thank you very much for watching.